Hi, everybody, welcome. Regularly, every month, I get several emails from viewers quite worried about a situation to do with Mercury retrograde. So I've been asked to do a video all about how to navigate Mercury retrograde in the best possible way. The first thing to say is it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something, as we would say in English, to get your knickers in a twist about. It happens roughly 3 to 4 times a year. And Mercury is usually retrograde for around about 3.5 weeks. So many of you will be born with Mercury retrograde. You'll have it in your own chart. And if you have it natally, chances are you're slower to come to decisions. You don't rush into things quite so quickly as people who've got Mercury direct. You're also probably a good researcher. You like finding out about things before you make a decision to purchase or go ahead. And it's quite known that people with Mercury retrograde natally are often good writers, especially good at writing, and good communicators generally. So now let's look at how do we navigate these times of the year, because right now we are in a Mercury retrograde period until October the 18th. And every year we start a new cycle of retrograde. So as we, and it changes element each year. So this year we've been in the air element. We've had a retrograde in Aquarius, in Gemini, now Libra. Next year, all the retrogrades are going to start out in air signs, except one of them, and move to earth signs. So what does this mean as a generality? It means that next year, 2022, you're going to have to walk your talk. The air signs can talk and talk a lot, but they don't necessarily take a lot of action. They like the ideas, they like the discussion, they're like, oh, yeah, yeah. But when Mercury is in an earth sign, it wants practical steps. It wants to feel productive. It wants to feel useful. This is what's going to be really important as we contemplate the retrogrades for 2022. So what are the principal things not to do? Let me start with those, because there's not that many, actually. There's a lot more good things to do during a Mercury retrograde than the not do's. So things not to do if you can help it. Don't sign important contracts or deals. Hold off if you can. Now, if you can't hold off, it's okay. Don't panic. It may mean that once, let's say you have to sign something you've agreed with and there's just no way around it. So if that's the situation, just make sure somebody else looks over it, or you look over it several times, or maybe there's a money back guarantee so that if you change your mind, it's all right. And then do it. And there may be some minor hiccups. There may be things that you have to duplicate, redo, or repeat. But it's not usually the end of the world. Yeah, people make a big deal about it. And it's important. Sometimes there are situations that can't be avoided. It's like when people say under a Mars retrograde, Mars goes retrograde every 2.5, 3 years. It's not advisable to have surgery when Mars is retrograde, because Mars rules sharp instruments, and it also rules surgeons. But when it comes to emergency surgery and surgeries that must be done, this overrides all of this information. So same with the Mercury retrograde. There are sometimes times when it just has to be overridden. So allow extra travel time. Do not leave things to the very last minute. Just give yourself breathing space in case there are issues with transportation and travel. Back up your hardware. This is actually a do rather than a don't. So I would say don't neglect backing up any important information, data that you've got, checking that you've got your passwords in a safe place, updating things where necessary. Preferably don't start important new projects. You can research them at this time. It's wonderful for researching, but not brilliant for starting new things. If you're still excited about something, after the retrograde has passed and Mercury's gone direct, then go gung-ho into it. Don't speak out without thinking first. Think carefully before you speak during a Mercury retrograde. I mean, I recommend doing this anyway, but especially during a retrograde, is to repeat back to somebody what you think they said to you, just to be on the safe side. Make sure you're on the same page and preempt miscommunications. See, that's how you use the energy constructively. And then during the retrograde, you really practice listening more carefully to people so that when the retrograde is over, you've already honed that skill and it's really useful to you when things begin to speed up again. It's a really good time for finding lost items, lost keys, lost money, lost passwords, lost numbers. It's a great time for completing a project or something that you already started before the retrograde. So I get this question often. People say, oh, you know, it looks like I'm going to sign contracts on a house during a retrograde. Well, very often those negotiations have begun way before Mercury went retrograde, and therefore the retrograde can be a wonderful time for completing it. It's a wonderful time for reconnecting with people that you've lost touch with. It's a great time for reconciling, for coming together with somebody that maybe you've not been in touch with for a while. It's a great time for getting closure, completion on emotional issues. It's a wonderful time for changing your habits. So doing that exercise program, doing the cleanse, doing the detox, stopping eating sugar, stopping smoking. It's really good to do that during the retrograde. It's a wonderful time for being introspective, for going within, for getting your answers from inside rather than outside. It's wonderful for writing, for journaling, for cleaning up your space, cleaning your car, cleaning your devices, and just generally sorting things out. It's really good so that when Mercury goes direct, you're all sorted and things are in place and you can find them more easily. It's a good thing to read all your emails and documents twice before you send them. I wish I remember this for myself, to be honest with you, but I'm reminding myself now as I speak to you. Double check appointments. A few days before and then the day before and on the day. just to make sure. Insure or track important packages. Yeah, rather go on the safe side and spend an extra $1 or $2 to get the tracking. It's a really good time for planning reunions with old friends, people from your past, old loves, getting together. It's good for repairing things. And it's just generally good for relaxing, resting, realigning your energy. Anything beginning with the letters R-E. Rewind, renew, review, reunite, reinvent, remember, reboot, reset, revitalize, rejuvenate, recover, reflect. So there's so much that you can do during a retrograde. I hope this is showing you that, because I really felt it needed balancing. We're in a Libra retrograde as I do this. And Libra is all about balance. And I think that Mercury retrograde gets a bit of a bad rap, when in fact it's a wonderful time for breathing space, finding out new things that you didn't know, reading, getting some important information. Somebody sent me a great book today online. Oh, I can't wait to read it. And I've created some time this evening to read a book. Maybe that's something that will be nourishing for you. So it's a time to really nourish your brain, to nourish your thinking, your thoughts. And here, this is a very good point here on your temple here, just to gently rub that, to just calm the mind. Because that's really what the slowing down of Mercury is around, is not to run and rush and dash, but to give yourself time. Time if you're traveling, time to remind people of appointments, time out from social media for a while, and just to do anything that enables your mind to relax. So I hope this helps you. I hope it takes some of the fear and anxiety around Mercury retrograde and gives you a more positive, useful way of constructively utilizing it in your life. I look forward to your feedback, and I look forward to ways in which you're using this Mercury retrograde so that we can inspire one another. Yeah, we can uplift one another and use the astrology in a positive, healing and uplifting way. Thank you so much for listening. Bye for now.